Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Harikeśa Swami at the CC Bhagavadgita Swami's Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Praise to Gaush Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopavana Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gita Govardhana Ki Jai. Mathura Dhama Ki Jai. Navadip Dhama Ki Jai. Raghunath Swami Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glory some devotees. All glory some devotees. All glory some devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru Granth, all glories, Divine Grace to the Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavadgita as it is, chapter 10, text number 5. Buddhigyanam sammoha shama satyam dhamma samaha sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayam eva cha ahimsa samata tushtis tapo dhanam yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pratak vidaha. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. Purport continued. You may wonder why it's being continued. So I will explain. For the last 6 weeks we've been lecturing on these 2 verses in Zurich. So we're finally 3 paragraphs from the end of the purport. So today we'll do those 3 paragraphs, and then we'll be done with this 6-week marathon verse. Yasha, fame, should be according to Lord Chaitanya, who said that a man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. That is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities, as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find, good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. So, the different qualities of the living beings are all created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. As he himself states in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, which we'll come to that when Krishna repeats the same thing which is being said here. Actually, it's only 3 verses away. When he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Everything comes from me. Now this is a very important point. Everything comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows this engages himself in unalloyed devotional service with all his heart. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. He knows that this devotional service is the highest and most important activity that exists. Now, there are many who don't engage in devotional service. What do they get? That is the point. Those who don't engage in devotional service get merely troubles. They cannot get the results that the devotees get. There's a very nice verse in this regard, which was spoken by Sanaka Kumara to Maharaj Prithu in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, a verse which is one that Srila Prabhupada liked to quote sometimes. Yatpada pankaja palasa vilasa bhakja karma shayan gratitanti utkratayanti santa tadvanna rikta matayo yatayo pirudha shotogana tamaranam bhajavasudevam. That the devotees of the Lord, they are very pleased to render devotional service to the toes, or the lotus petal-like toes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because they do that, very easily, the desire for fruitive activities in their hearts is uprooted. Karma ashayan. Ashaya refers to desires. Desire is very important. According to your desire, you will act. According to your desire, you will try to attain various things in this world. And karmashaya means the desire for fruitive activities. Who in this world is freed from the desire for fruitive activities? Everybody wants to engage in fruitive activities and thus enjoy in the material world. And these fruitive activities are very strongly situated within the heart, gratitam. But utkratayanti, santa, the devotees, can uproot these fruitive desires from the heart. All those desires are immediately finished for the devotee. Immediately, of course, does not mean that you join the Hare Krishna movement the next day you're a pure devotee, but it means very quickly. Whereas, on the other hand, those who are rikta mataya, non-devotees, against the devotional service of the Lord, even though they are yata, engaging themselves very strongly in the process of trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, shrotogana, the waves of sense gratification. Sense gratification is coming in waves, like an ocean. The waves are coming again and again. As soon as you finish with one desire, another desire is immediately there. You desire to eat, then when that desire is finished, you desire to sleep. When that desire is finished, then you desire to have sex. When that desire is finished, you desire to hear something pleasant. And when that desire is finished, you want to see some nice painting, and then you want to read this book, and then you want to have more sex, and then you want to drink more alcohol, and then you want to, and again and again. Shrotogana, the waves of this material nature are just coming again and again upon the living entity. But the Kumaras recommend that because these persons who are engaged, who are not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, in other words, the non-devotees, and Prabhupada classifies the non-devotees as jnanis and yogis. Rikta Mataya, he translates in the purport, in the verse, as jnanis and yogis. They are not able to overcome the waves of sense gratification. They cannot overcome these waves. The devotees can easily do it. Very easily. Because they're engaged in the service of the Lord. You may have noticed how sometimes when you are engaged in the service of the Lord, you can seemingly walk over the head of the material nature. And sometimes when you are not engaged in the service of the Lord, the material nature walks over your head. This is natural because devotional service of the Lord empowers one with great transcendental strength. Therefore, the Kumaras recommend worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because when you worship those lotus feet, you will immediately overcome the difficult situations of this material world. You will immediately overcome the problems which arise from the body and the senses. The body and the senses continuously give one troubles in this material world. That's a fact. But the Supreme Lord can satisfy every desire of the living entities. Because there's another verse by Lord Shiva where he explains, Nama orja ishe chaya patiya yagireta se chipti daya to jivanam namasarva rasatmane. He's offering his obeisances unto Orja, the one who satisfies the desires or satisfies the by providing for the Pitriloka, all the inhabitants of the Pitriloka. He's providing for them. Whatever they desire, he provides. Remember, it is stated, Eko bahunam yo vididati kaman, that all the desires of the living entity are supplied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even on Pitriloka, he's the provider. And Ishe, amongst the demigods, he's the provider. He's Chaye, the one who has given the 3 Vedas, which everybody is following for religious benefit. And Pataye Yagire to say, he's the Lord of the Vedas, he's the Lord of yajnas and sacrifices, and he's also the Lord of the moon planet. And because he's the Lord of the moon planet, he is the one who satisfies the desires of the tongue of all living entities. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but the moon is the one from whom the tongue gets the ability to taste. So we have to be thankful to the moon for that. And because Krishna is the Lord of the moon, he's also the one who's Triptidaya, able to satisfy all the desires of everyone because everybody wants to eat. Sarva rasa atmane. The living entities all want to eat. So Krishna is the one who satisfies all the desires of all the living entities. That's a very important point. To have your desires satisfied is the desire of everyone. But how can you satisfy your desires without the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Unless Krishna arranges that your desires are satisfied, they are not going to be satisfied. When Krishna sanctions, let him have this, then you have it. If Krishna says, he shall not have this, then no matter what you do, you shall not have it. When it is time for you to get your desires satisfied, then Krishna will arrange it easily. It will come. In most Asian religions, there is a very strong feeling that God will supply me with what I am supposed to get in this world. Because we understand the law of karma. And therefore that tradition of karma is there even amongst the Buddhists and others. And the desires of the living entities are fulfilled if it is their fate to have those desires fulfilled. Otherwise, it is not fulfilled. Jai Shri Shri Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. So when Shri Shri Gandharvika Giridhari wished that your desires will be fulfilled, your desires will be fulfilled. And you will not be able to understand how it is so. It will be a very difficult thing to understand. Because usually we think of fulfilling desires as an action where I make a motion, I make some endeavor, I expend some energy, and in response, I get some reaction, I get some wealth, or I get some... Everybody's thinking of fulfilling their desires just like Queen Kunti spoke of the 4 things which everybody likes. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribi. Janma, good birth. Aishwarya, opulences or wealth. Shruta, good learning. And Shribi, nice beauty, bodily beauty. Everybody wants these things. But these things only come when Krishna wishes you to have them. And even though it is your desire to have them, you may not be able to enjoy them. You may end up in a situation where you cannot even enjoy those very things which you wanted all your life or previous lives to have. You may get good birth, but then that may frustrate you in your desires to do what you want to do. You may have great wealth. That wealth may cause your death when somebody kills you for it. Or you may have great learning, but be involved in a scandal, and thus you lose everything. Something like this happens. It is not that just because you have your desires fulfilled means, therefore, automatically that you're going to be happy. That doesn't mean like that. But because we wish to have our desires fulfilled in order to get happiness, we think like that. We think the happiness will come when our desires are fulfilled. Therefore, we are very eager to fulfill these desires. So Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, fulfills our desires. That doesn't mean he gives you happiness. Happiness is a very illusory thing. You may be happy one day, sad the next day. You may be happy 1 minute and totally frustrated the next minute. We have seen this happens. You think that everything is fine, and then the next moment somebody comes with some bad news. Oh, I'm sorry to tell you this, but... And then you go, oh no, everything was so nice, and then all of a sudden I hear this, and now everything is finished, and oh, what am I going to do? And in this way you go on with so many problems in life. But these problems can only be overcome by devotional service to the Lord. When you engage in devotional service, then you can overcome all the problems of life. That is Klesha Agni, all the problems of life. When you engage in pure devotional service, you overcome automatically all of the miserable conditions of life. That's the first symptom of pure devotional service. So you want to overcome problems, then you must engage in pure devotional service. Otherwise, you cannot overcome the problems. Krishna, he is the one who is the universal form, and as such, within Krishna is contained all of the bodies of the living entities. Krishna has given all of the elements to all of the living entities' bodies by which they can engage themselves in service or activities for their sense gratification or for the Supreme Lord's satisfaction. Sarvasavatma dehaya visheshaya staviyase namastrailokya palaya sahajo balayacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the universal form. And he is the one within which all of the manifestations of variegatedness within this material world are situated. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is this universal form. Everything is situated within there. He's also, Namastrailokya Palaya, the maintainer of all 3 planetary systems. And therefore, he is the support of all the mind, the senses, the body, and the life airs as well. We worship the Supreme Lord along with his power, along with his prowess and his strength. We do not worship a Supreme Lord who is a weakling or devoid of abilities, as one worships the impersonal Brahman, which has no ability even to pick up a piece of paper. Impersonal Brahman does not have that ability, so he's a weakling. And he cannot solve the simplest problem. Therefore, he's a knucklehead. This is what the Mayavadis think. They think God is just a big impersonal nothing, or a big impersonal something. Take your pick, it's the same thing. He has no quality. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya was so upset with Prakashananda Saraswati. He was telling him, I gave him leprosy. He still doesn't understand why I gave him leprosy. Because he says, the Supreme Lord has no hands, no legs, no eyes, no ears. He's deaf, dumb, blind, and lame. Lord Chaitanya was furious at him. I will teach him a good lesson. He will remain with that leprosy. And he will not understand why. Lord Chaitanya, of course, being merciful, did not just curse Prakashananda Saraswati to remain in that condition, but because he was thinking about him, Prakashananda Saraswati got the opportunity, along with all of his followers, to become devotees later on, because the Lord was kindly thinking of him. That's Lord Krishna's quality. Namasta Isha Shisha Isha Manave Karnatmane Namo Dharmaya Briyate Krishnaya Kunta Medase Purushaya Puranaya Shankya Geshra Balayacha. He's Ashisha Isha, the one who gives all benedictions. If you want to have benediction, Krishna is the one who gives it. Namasta Ashisha Isha, the supreme benedictor. Now, maybe I can give you something, maybe he can give you something, maybe your mother can give you something, maybe the state can give you something. But whatever we give is temporary and limited. It can only help you for a short time. Or it may even be a problem in itself, that which you get from one of these persons. But when you get from Krishna benedictions, those benedictions are everlasting, especially if you're a Vaishnava. If you're a Vaishnava and you get benedictions from the Lord, those benedictions are long-lasting. Or they bring you back home, back to Godhead, rapidly, which is even better. But when you get benedictions from the demigods, or like that, those benedictions are limited and temporary. And they come from those who are less intelligent. Antavatu phalam tesham tad bhavati apamedasam. Those limited and temporary benedictions come from the demigods. And the result is, devan deva yajo yanti yanti mam api. If you worship the demigods, you go to the demigods. If you worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he has very many good qualities. The qualities have been explained in this verse. In these two verses, text 4 and 5 of the 10th chapter, different qualities given by the Supreme Lord are there. Because he is the reservoir of all good qualities. Just like it is said, Manave, he's the supreme mind, or the supreme Manu. Manave, Karnatmane, he's the cause of all causes. Namo Dharmaya Briyate, he's the greatest propounder of religious principles. He's the greatest follower of religious principles. He is religious principles. Dharmantu Shakshat Bhagavad Prinitam. All religious principles come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is the real source of them, the only source of them. Otherwise, no one can create religious principles. And Krishnaya Kunta Medase. His brain can never be thwarted or stopped in any circumstances. There's a difference between us and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For us, our brains can be thwarted by another. Just like an argumentation. You come up with a point, and your opponent comes up with a point and blocks you. And then you have to figure out how to get around his block and push forward your own point. But for Krishna, his intelligence is never thwarted like that. No one can out-argue Krishna. Of course, there was an example of a devotee out-arguing Krishna. There are many examples of devotees doing that. But that is the Lord's mercy. Just like that young Brahmana who asked Shakshi Gopal to come with him and be the witness that the old Brahmana had offered him his daughter in marriage. The deity said, I have not heard of a deity walking to be a witness in a trial. And the young Brahmana said, yes, that's true, but I've also not heard of a deity talking. So if you can talk, you can walk and come with me. And the deity said, you're right. And so he followed him. So the devotee has the ability to defeat the Supreme Lord in argument, but only because the Lord gives him that ability. Otherwise, Krishna's intelligence is never thwarted in any circumstance. Neither is the devotee defeating the Lord in love like that thwarting, but it's part of the pastimes of the Lord. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead has got infinite qualities. And those who are demigods, they share some of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. The living entities, they share 50% of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. The demigods have those qualities to a much greater degree than we have. And Krishna has them to the greatest degree, full 100% of all those qualities. So we get those qualities from Krishna. When we become more and more Krishna conscious, we accept those qualities from the lotus feet of the Lord. He gives them to us, and we can thus use them. Such qualities as were given in these two verses, which we read today. Krishna's Purushaya. He's the Supreme Person. And Puranaya, the oldest personality. Purushaya, Puranaya. Krishnaya Kuntameda say, Purushaya, Puranaya. Oop, I forgot the last line. Anyway, so all these qualities are manifest throughout the whole universe. In all aspects of the universe, Krishna's qualities are there. And it's up to us to try to attain these qualities and use them in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is our business. Our business is to use these qualities in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we become perfect. Not that we try to take these qualities and use them for our sense gratification. No. Because we'll never overcome the waves of sense gratification in that way. But if we try to use all these qualities in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we become happy and satisfied. So let us try that and be Krishna conscious and go back home, back to Godhead where we belong. Hare Krishna. Any questions out there? Anybody's out there? Yes.
What is the difference between material mind and spiritual mind?
Material mind is a material element. Mana, buddhi, devacha, ahankara. It's the three subtle elements. It's material. Spiritual mind is spiritual. That's the main difference between the two. Of course, that means it's like a day and night world of difference. One is material, the other is spiritual. However, there's also a functional difference. The material mind deals with material things. It thinks about material sense gratification of the material senses of the material body. Whereas the spiritual mind does not think about this material body's material senses, but thinks about the spiritual body in service to Krishna. Therefore, even though they are both completely different, they also have a completely different function. The spiritual mind is engaged in spiritual energy, the material mind is engaged in material energy. The spiritual mind may also utilize the material energy for the service of Krishna, but the whole affair becomes spiritualized, so it's still spiritual.
So when we do devotional service, our problems get solved, but when we see how demoniac the world is getting worse, and then when we suffer from that, is it...
Sochetato vimukacheta sindriyata maya sukhayam udvahato vimudham paramudvahato vimudham. That's natural. That's good. That's good that you suffer when you see the world suffering. Then you'll do something about it. If you just think everything's going to hell, good, then what kind of preacher are you? You should see everything's going to hell. I should do something about it. Then there's a possibility to correct the situation.
Seems so difficult
Huh?
to do something significant.
It's difficult to do something significant. Yeah. That's true. If it wasn't difficult, then what would be significant about it? It's significant because it's very difficult. And when you do it, then you're doing something very good. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Holiness Harikeśa Swami ki jai.